Hey, how's it going today? Welcome back to TR Leads. My name is Terrance Richmond, and I am super excited to have you listen in today with us. Listen, check it out. I'm having a conversation today with Chris Boyko. He's a fitness professional, former strength and conditioning coach for the BC Lions. He's currently working with the Langley Mustangs as their track and field coach. One thing to listen for today is our conversation when we talk about importance of stability while maintaining agility. We've heard this concept of agility and pivoting become super popular in the midst of this COVID season, but this conversation focuses on the importance of having a solid foundation in the midst of pivots. Face it, if you have no foundation, you can pivot all you want, but you will not sustain stability. And that's what we're focusing in on today. Fun conversation, a lot of energy, and a lot of empowerment. Listen in, enjoy, and I'll see you soon. Yo, welcome to TR Leads. I'm here with none other than Coach Boyko. This is where we empower, equip, and activate. Man, I'm super happy to have you today. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Man, I just want to get to this fun icebreaker where you just shoot back what the one out of the other. Coffee or tea?
Coffee for sure.
Nike or Adidas?
Adidas.
Home or road?
Home every time.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Cardio or stretch?
That's a good one. They go together. Cardio.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Cake or pie?
Pie.
1-ply or 2-ply?
2-ply. 2-ply. Is anyone 1-ply?
Man, you got some nasty people out there that's just like feeling themselves.
Do they got 3-ply?
They do have 3-ply.
I'll
3-ply is almost too thick. It's like too smooth. It's like 2 is perfect. 2 is perfect. All right, man. You, from what I've learned of you, I've only known you for a little bit. I guess I've known you for a while, but I've only gotten a chance to build a relationship with you a couple times and hang out. And so, first of all, thanks for even taking this opportunity out of your schedule. It's been a crazy year. Very unexpected. Family's been hit hard. Everyone has had to pivot and adjust in this time. Yes. How has this last year been for you and yours?
I would say it's definitely been an educational year.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
A year of growth, in a sense that, in order for growth to happen, you have to go through some struggles and some maybe a little bit of pain. Yeah. So it's been challenging. It's definitely been challenging. Yeah. It's been a time that has gone maybe even against a lot of my convictions. Actually, you see things happening, and that's been an internal struggle. Just sitting there watching things that are going on in the world, and it's like, wow. Yeah. I'm not okay with this. Yeah. And it's been a time of, do I conform to the social norms? Yeah. Knowing full well that conforming to the social norms is what got me in a lot of the trouble in the first place. Right. And led to a fall, not only in my personal life, but in my marriage, in my career. So when these things are going on in the world, I kind of have to take a step back and just look at the social norms and like, wait, what am I going to do now? Yeah. But it's been challenging for everyone. It's been challenging for the family at home. Yeah. It's been challenging for, in the workplace in my career. And overall, it's been a time of, I guess, it's been a time of growth. It's been a time of transformation, I would say. Yeah.
It's definitely been a time also of just like, as you kind of alluded to, a time of, I would say, inspection, a time of checking that foundation. Yeah. Like this time is really exposed who people really are. Yes. It's exposed what's really inside of us. It's been a great purging time as well. Like you said, you've had to evaluate, am I going to go back to some of my crutches, some of my social norms? Am I going to deal with things the way I have and the way people are choosing to now? Or am I going to push off the foundation, these truths, these convictions that I have? And that's where I think the growth has come from for me and for a lot of people that I know, is those that have stuck to the new man, have stuck to, I mean, it's nothing to hide. We're men of God, and have stuck to faith. And really, no matter how much you've had to cry, no matter how much you've had to argue with family, it's been tough. But I do see those that actually dug their heels into a firm foundation. We're going to come out better, stronger. We're going to make the turn a little bit easier than some people who are just going to come and try and go back to normal. People are going to be I think there's going to be some post-trauma, because people are going to expect to go back to normal, and it's not. Business is going to try to start back up, and they're going to be like, man, our business is not for this time anymore. It's like customers think different, and so it's been a great time. You're a fitness coach. You are a healthy, you are a inspiration of health walking around. Like this morning, I had an oatmeal muffin. You had oatmeal, just oatmeal, period, full stop.
That's it. Yeah, dry. I didn't even put water in it. I ate it just right out of the bag.
We got John the Baptist over here eating locusts and honey. How did you first get started as a fitness professional?
I would say, that kind of goes back a long way, actually. Check this out. When I was in grade 4, 5, and 6, I was the type of kid who just enjoyed training, enjoyed running, enjoyed doing something to make my body better. And it sounds crazy, but kids would be, playing, dodgeball at recess. And I don't know who influenced me. Someone must have told me. It might have been a coach. It might have been a teacher who told me that if I practice, if I run, and I do the things that, I'm supposed to do, I can actually improve and do well in the next cross-country meet or whatever. So I was that kid who would, as soon as the bell rang at recess, I just began running laps.
He's running around the school the whole
I just ran around the school. However many times until the bell rang again, getting back in class, and I'm sweaty, just sitting there, just heart pounding. But I was always that kind of guy who wanted to know why. Like, why do this? Why run? Why lift? Why do this? So I grew up as an athlete, and I was one of those athletes who not questioned the authority of my coach, but just wanted to know why. So that I guess curiosity just led me to learn more about
curiosity,
fitness, about training and development. But I will say this: one of the main reasons why I started training was actually a negative one, to be honest. I grew up in a home that was pretty violent. My mom, we lived in a biker clubhouse growing up in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And my mom, after getting divorced from my dad, had guys in her life that were pretty abusive. And there was drugs in our house and alcohol, wild parties, pretty much every night. And they would abuse my mom. They would beat her up. They would beat me up. They would beat my brother up. So really, my motivation for training was to get better, to get stronger, to protect my mom, to be honest, to protect my brother, to protect myself. So it's crazy how I believe, God puts information into your hands, even at a young age, even before you're with God. He's shaping your life through what you're going through, the conflicts in life. He helps you out in some way, shape, or form. I got my hands on Bruce Lee books, Bruce Lee training methods, So I was hooked on training at a young age, and it all started with Bruce Lee, I'll tell you. I had every book. I studied every book. You know what? I just wish I put that much effort into school as I did into learning the methods of Bruce Lee.
Sound like my Uncle Willie.
So the question is, how did I get involved in fitness training? And I think that it started, it was rooted in fear, actually. It was rooted in something negative.
Yeah.
I wanted to get good enough, strong enough, to know enough.
Yeah.
To be honest, Terrance, to take revenge.
Yeah.
On the men who hurt us.
Yeah.
And then I got hooked up in martial arts. And then my passion for martial arts began to grow. I began to improve in my skills. And, fortunately, those skills and that training that I put in, that passion that I put into that, it's funny how you can put so much passion into evil things.
Absolutely.
And I would say that the first part of my life is that.
Yeah.
I poured into, in a passionate way, something that was a result of maybe even an evil outcome, revenge and hate and anger. That was my fuel.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what started me in the fitness industry.
Where did that fear take you? You find where did that fear? So the fear drove you to protect, and rightfully so.
Yes.
You need to protect yourself. But then there was a passion for it. It wasn't just I want to go to the gym and get stronger.
No.
You also had this mix of where I would find there's this call on your life clearly, because I find, even as a young age, there's this natural curiosity you have for what God has wired you to do. So you had this curiosity, then you had this passion, but then you also had, in the same arena you were curious about, it was something that would benefit you to be protective, to protect your family, protect yourself. And so this is how the enemy will probably come in. And this is why negativity and fear comes in and then perverts a gift. When fear grabbed a hold of this passion you had, I don't think, because what I'm hearing is the passion for fitness didn't come out of the fear per se. Like, you was into fitness.
I liked it.
Absolutely.
I liked it.
But then the fear perverted it.
You know what? You're right.
And it snatched the motivation.
Big time.
And the ambition. So the fear really switched the motivation.
That you said a word right there, ambition.
Yeah.
That kind of sums up the first part of my life.
Yeah.
Without Christ, and the ambition has changed since I've decided to follow Christ.
Yeah.
I had an ambition for me to be known, for me to be respected.
Yeah.
I had an ambition for me to be, I guess, for people to see me.
Yeah.
Because I never felt like I was seen in the environment that I grew up in. So I'm going to make them see me.
Yeah.
And this is the tool that I'm going to use to make that happen.
Yeah.
So, whether it was in sports, winning, doing well, I started to get that social significance from doing well in sports.
Yeah.
That kind of highlights my love for it. And it almost added fuel to that ambition that I had to be known myself. In fact, that same ambition was probably the same thing that ended my old self.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that passion took me to a place where I started doing things in selfish ways. Like, it might have started off with, I'm doing this for a noble reason, protecting my family. But like you said, Satan got in there and perverted that gift and that passion that I had. And all of a sudden, I'm using it to elevate myself, to get notoriety. And I had those skills. I had the knowledge. I loved studying, all of those things. I loved studying. I loved applying. I loved sharing it. I loved teaching. Yeah. Isn't it crazy how God can use those same gifts
Absolutely.
that the enemy wanted to use for evil back in the day?
Turn it for good.
So now it's switched. But I find that ambition took me to a place where, hey, now I get bigger jobs, bigger opportunities. Yeah. And then eventually living a dream and being a professional strength and conditioning coach. Yeah. And that just kind of elevated the distractions in my life, of course, the enemy loved that.
Yeah.
That now I'm in this environment full of just lust.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I grew up going, I want money because I don't feel like we've had it.
Yeah.
I want to be known. I want to be seen. I don't feel like I've been respected. I want to be famous.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Every kid grows up like, wanting to, with the money, the cars, and especially when you get involved in football, you're like, I want to go pro.
Yeah.
And everything that comes along with going pro, you have this I guess your own interpretation of what that is growing up.
Yeah.
And you know what the crazy thing is? I got it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it.
That character wasn't built.
I didn't have the character to handle God's blessings at that time. And I got exposed.
Yeah.
And everything came crashing down. And my marriage came crashing down, all because of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
All because of the wrong ambition, the wrong motivation.
Yeah. It could get dark very, very quick.
Very
dark.
But
the grace of God will allow us to experience some things that he will use to then still create platforms that will bring him glory. He used Saul's ambition and made him Paul, and now Paul, that same ambition and motivation and passion that Paul was persecuting Christians, he used that to elevate Jesus. Yes. And so a lot of people get it twisted and think that, their past, that's why we should never be ashamed of our past, but we for sure should leave our past and not let our past identify us. But God will leverage our past. He will leverage our past for his glory. And he will exalt as long as we're willing to humble ourselves and bring him the glory. So you've had some experience with elite athletes.
Yes.
Which could be dealing with a lot of ego, a lot of these beasts, but very insecure, right?
Yes.
They're being glorified. They're dealing with some of the same stuff you dealt with, and to the world, we're glorifying them, we're making them idols, but then in their hearts, they're lonely, they're afraid, they're trying to be pro, they want to be famous, they want that attention. They're taking out their anger on other players, other coaches. How important is it for you to build relational capital in order to have accountability capital?
Yeah, that's a really good question because so here I am, I enter the world of professional coaching, and I think that, hey, I got myself here. I got myself here by my studying, by my hard work. And I got in there and I actually, I had the wrong mentality, I'll tell you right off the beginning. I got in there and I said, to the guys, all right, listen up. This is how it's going to be. Like this militant, authoritarian type of coach, right? And what I found was, and it took me a long time because I'm a slow learner, to realize that those methods, they don't work actually. They don't work with people, and they especially don't work with athletes, and especially don't work in today's culture of athletes and professional athletes. Okay, they're like, hey, you're not my dad. But you can't tell me what to do in the way you're, and that's what it is, in the way you're doing it. So how does the relationships play a part in that to produce an accountability? Let me tell you this. It wasn't until I started truly just reaching out and genuinely wanting to know my athletes, to know them, to actually know them and talk to them, to actually ask them questions that aren't just sports related, and a lot of that stuff happens on a therapy table when I do the therapy with the athletes. Guys open up, and oddly enough, those opportunities happen as a result of possible injury. So when a guy is injured, they're a little bit more vulnerable, right? And they're a little bit more open, and now they're
scared too.
Their career is on the line, right? Everything that they've hoped and dreamed for is on the line. without these relationships, I could never obtain any kind of trust from an athlete. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just in life with anyone, really. Without trust, mm-hmm. you're not going to advance, mm-hmm. really, as a team. Yeah. You're not going to reach your goals mm-hmm. as a family, as a community. Yeah. And you see that a lot right now. Like there's a lack of trust, and people are just going their own way. No one's, there's very few people on the same mm-hmm. page, on the same path for the same reasons. Yeah. So those relationships that were developed happens as a result of me wanting to know the man in front of me. Yeah. Talking to him, engaging in their life and just connecting on a deeper level than just the superficial level. Yeah. And it's a common thing just to, ask them to do something. Yeah. Here, do this on the board. You're going to do that. You're going to do this. Yeah. Lift this. Run this. Da-da-da. But wait a second. Yeah. It's like this, telling your kids what to do, right? I get home at the end of the day. Did you do your homework? Did you do the dishes? Yeah. But not yet have I even asked them how they're doing. Yeah. Eventually, I'm just going to sound like that noisy gong. Yeah. Telling them what to do. And that's exactly what got revealed to me in coaching. Yeah. I'm just a noisy gong right now. Yeah. Just barking out orders. 1 Corinthians 13. Where's the love and where's the care? Yeah. And until I started just caring about the guy, the saying goes, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah. Right? And really, that is true. Yeah. So once you develop that trust, now you can start with being accountable. But the accountability is not just them to me. Yeah. I'm also accountable to them. Absolutely. They're watching me. And that's the thing that I did learn is that athletes, even before I was with Christ, even if I haven't connected with them on a personal level, they're always watching me. They're watching, man. They're watching me. They're like studying me, analyzing to see if I am authentic. Yeah. Is this a guy who says he's a man of God really acting and behaving like a man of God? Yeah. And those actions are actually that fruit. Yeah. Is, I would say, it's so visible. Yeah. Eventually, these guys began to want to eat this fruit. Yeah. They trust you because you are authentic. Yeah. And let me tell you though, it takes so much time actually. You can't rush it. Not at all. And I had 13 seasons of trial and error and failure every year. It was like God showing me new. I feel like I repeated the same tests over and over for probably 13 years. Right. God was allowing me to do it again. Yeah. Okay. And then when those moments pop up again, in those relational moments when a guy is not, I guess, complying to the program, I start to realize that it's not about compliance. Yeah. It's not about that. Get that out of your head. Yeah. It's not about compliance. It's about that relationship that we develop. Yeah. So how can I connect? Yeah. Now, what will I do differently in this moment compared to last year? And God gave me the grace to sign another contract and another contract. But I believe that he was trying to teach me something. Absolutely. Something that I missed. He's preparing you for something, man. It took me 13 years to learn so much, and probably the same thing, actually.
He's preparing you for something. And I think what people have to understand is that leadership is a full-time job. Because even when you're not leading people, you're spending time being led, right? Yes. Even if it's by the Holy Spirit, if it's by your wife, if it's by lessons, if it's by children, you never turn off leadership, because it's not about you lead when you're in front of people. You also, as a good leader, you have to always be being led. Yes. Always. And so even when you're watching movies, that if you're just a real born leader, you're learning things watching movies, how you watch your kids. Like you said, man, I did that with my kids. I come home, I'm tired. I just want stuff to be done. But then you think like, man, the reason they respond in that way as well is like trying to get in the habit of first saying, hey, how you doing? And I told you to have the trash out, but I don't want to know how you doing right now, because right now you're not doing what I asked you to. But if we're gonna play the long game, and I think so much we don't play the long game of life. We don't think about legacy. We don't think about building relationships that will last outside of the context I met you. It's always about getting the product out, about getting the job done. It's about winning the championship. And the heck with you as a person. What happens when you get injured? What happens when you get traded? What happens when you lose a loved one? There's no relationship there. And I think we're in a culture where we have created a culture that do not know how to build relationships. Everything is text message. I'm sorry, via text message. Yeah. We don't know how to write letters. We don't know how to have face-to-face conversations. Yeah. We don't know how to repent. We don't know how to care for one another in this society. So it's a very cold time in the world. And that relationship is vital in anything we go in. Yeah. Anything. Even if you go to your neighborhood coffee shop, you could build a relationship by getting to know the cashier's name. And every time you go in, call that person by their name while they're making your latte. Hey, how's it going? Even that little 3-minute while you ordering what you're doing, I always ask them, how's your day going? And maybe they're busy and they're like, oh, I'm good. That's fine. But relationship goes beyond physical connection. Yes. Relationship is a very soulish, spiritual connection. Yeah. And that's why sometimes you'll vibe with people like that. And it's like, man, we got to get together again. Because I feel like I could talk to you over and over again. What is one of the most significant lessons that you've learned training alongside not just athletes, but just an elite mindset? An elite mindset. What is one of the biggest takeaways that you've learned about that person? That type.
Yeah, I think that, one of the biggest lessons that I learned, so I was a kid, when growing up, I wanted to be that professional athlete. Yeah. Like that was my dream, was to play CFL football.
Right.
Okay. I wanted to be in that position. And so when I look now from this perspective at the guy in front of me and the elite athletes in front of me, everyone views them as superheroes and I guess guys that are, it's like this. No one ever asks the lion how the lion is doing because they're perceived to be so strong and so in control of everything, in control of their domain. And that's might be the perception with a professional athlete. Yeah. The biggest thing that I've learned is that they're people first. Yeah. Athletes second. Yeah. They're men first. Yeah. And athletes second. Yeah. And when I grasped that, then results really began to happen. When you start looking at a person not for their position or their title that they have or whatever, but that they're actually people and they're actually, they're created in God's image as well. They may or may not even know that yet, but that's where that revelation merges with the mission that God gave us. Yeah.
I one of the things, man, I think of that guy named Tom Brady. I think of that level of man. See, a lot of people, what I've learned, a lot of people never want to get to the point of experiencing pain physically. And there's no way you can get the muscles, the health, even when you're eating a certain way. Like you're not just going to automatically go from being a meat eater, cheese and all to plant-based or vegan. Like you want to go there, but you're not willing to go through some of the hunger pains that may come. You're not willing to go through, you don't want to stretch because you don't want to go through the feeling of getting loose. You don't want to lift because you don't want to go through the experience of being vulnerable and realizing how weak you really are. So it's just like, I don't want to run because I don't want to feel what it's like to try and run exhausted or, shallow breathing. Yeah. And what I learned about the elite athlete, and not even elite, just athletes, is just this willingness to put their body under. And Paul even said that. I buffet my body, I put it under. And the average person does not, they live most of their life trying to prevent pain, but they're praying for growth.
Yeah.
You can never pray for growth and then at the same time try to prevent pain.
No.
And there's levels of pain. I'm not saying you got to go through trauma.
No.
Not all pain is trauma, right? But when we think of pain, we think of trauma. So I want to stay away from that feeling. I want to stay away from that moment. And I go through the whole day never experiencing any type of challenge. And you become a lazy life.
Yes.
Not just physically lazy, a lazy thinker, lazy relationally, because you're not putting forth this effort. And when I learn about people like yourself, the beautiful part, I think, where God was able to restore your life, your relationships, and your purpose is because there was that kid at 4 years old that was like, I'm just going to run around this track because I'm curious, right? I'm curious of what it takes to be great. I'm curious. Some people are not curious to be great or what it takes to be great. They just, it's lazy to celebrate other people's greatness and never strive to be the great you're supposed to be. And so we're lazy beings, and it's easy to just pat others on the back, share other people's pages, watch other people's YouTube instead of getting out there, and we dream through others. And I find dreaming through others without living out your own dream, it is a passive way of living life in purpose. And for my last question for you today is this idea of flexibility to prevent injury. You know, I've had a trainer say, man, I never stretch. Like, stretching is overrated. And then I've tried that. I'm like, you going crazy. Like, I need to stretch. Everyone needs to stretch. And there's something about flexibility that at least gives you a higher opportunity to not, get injured. It makes you a little more mobile, agile. How does that translate? How does flexibility prevent injury, just in a nutshell? But what I really want to get to is how does that translate into applying that into everyday life, especially in a pandemic, like so many people were stiff.
Yeah.
They don't like stretching.
That's a good question, and you can probably do a series on that question alone. It's very complex, but yeah, stretching is probably one of those things that, the crazy thing is, even the elite athletes, the majority of them don't like to do the stretching part, we call it the movement preparation period, where the team gets together and we do this, 10 to 15 minute period of time of movement preparation, which involves stretching, mobility, specific drills to prepare them to do their job. A lot of guys don't like to do that. However, the difference is this, okay? When you have, I guess, more flexibility, there's a difference between flexibility and mobility, and you can go deeper into that. It's not just about being able to do the splits. I mean, really, how's that going to help you unless you're doing something that involves, a competition for doing the splits? The range that you need is a range that is something that you use daily in your life, in your career. So functional range of motion. Do you have proper range of motion and the ability to use your joints to get the job done in whatever it might be that you're doing? So could be your sport. It might be in life. Does it prevent injury? Yes, because now you have more usable range, the more mobile you are, okay? And when you're talking about pivoting, when I think about pivoting, I think about the agility. Like a boxer slipping a punch. Or, you have to pivot to make a move to counterattack.
Absolutely.
The thing about being agile is being agile also involves having some stability there too, because you can't cut and move around with agility if there's no stability. So to talk about one thing, flexibility, mobility on its own, it doesn't serve the maximum function without stability. So what is creating that firm foundation And it might be the training that we're doing. It might be the stretching that we're doing that forms the foundation of flexibility and mobility and stability. Those are all important. And yes, they protect you from injury because, I mean, let's just face it. If your leg is getting tossed around over here and your body's going that way, I mean, if you're more mobile, you're going to have less things happen, especially in the football field. But what I'm want to get at is this. We talked about in the beginning the ambition. Okay. Now, when you're a football player, your ultimate ambition is to, one, probably win a championship. And we talked about that.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that ambition will govern all your choices. You'll stretch. You'll do the mobility training. You'll lift weights and you'll put yourself through pain. You will go head to head and you will literally, intentionally damage your body for your ambition of winning a championship or winning an award. How does that apply in real life? What happens when your ambition changes towards, possibly for me, instead of wanting to be famous and win a championship, my ambition changes to wanting to know Christ, like Paul says. If that changes, if your ambition changes, then that also will govern your choices. Now, when things like the pandemic happen, how do you pivot? Well, one, the first pivot is you run to God. You reflect on his faithful promises. They're your armor and protection, as Psalm 91 says. Then you run with your family. Okay? Then you reflect his love in your workplace, wherever you are in the community. Now, how does that change everything? It changes everything because your ultimate goal now, your ultimate motivation is the hope that you have to see God's kingdom come right here on earth.
So good.
And I'm talking about salvation as something not that you have to wait for until after you die. I'm talking about the salvation in the present,
right now,
as Luke talks about.
Right
salvation
now.
That is right now. You can experience the kingdom of God like I did even before I believed. God sent the people of God to me. So how do you pivot?
That's so good, man.
How do you pivot? You run to God. With your use all that ambition.
You said a couple things, and we'll close. You said something about, man, that accountability. I mean, agility and flexibility is really, it's really nothing without stability. And that's a great takeaway today. Is that agility and flexibility is nothing. Well, I would say it's not as useful as it could be without stability. Because even if you're flying through the air, there's still a level of stability you have in your core to know how to fall. Right.
And then you're gonna land.
And you're gonna land, whether it's on your back, but you know how to fall. You know how to, and that's the thing. Is you see a lot of people during this pandemic, man, they were not prepared to fall. But the people that knew how to fall, man, they landed on their feet. If they didn't land on their feet, they landed on a side that they know how to roll. They know how to roll with the punches. And so it's beautiful. One thing that you believe defines greatness in maybe 3 to 5 words.
Oh, man. I'll never forget, okay. Anyone can be great, right? The quote. But really, it's your ability to serve.
Ability to serve.
Your ability to serve, okay? And that all kind of connects to your new ambition and the hope. Here's what I'd say. Whatever you hope for shapes what you live for. And if I'm hoping for the kingdom of God, then obviously who's going to be great in the kingdom? And Jesus says the ones that will serve are going to be the greatest. And that's really my interpretation of greatness.
That is so good. You guys heard that. Your ability and willingness to serve and whatever you hope for is what you'll live for. Shifting your ambitions will definitely shift what you're living for, your passions, your drive, and whatever you are ambitious for, you will be willing to a sense die for,
Yes.
like those football players, those that are putting their bodies through pain because
sacrificing.
they have an ambition to be famous, to be known. And so there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. It's just making sure your ambition is an ambition to bring God glory. And man, thank you for being a part of TR Leads today, where we equip, activate, and empower people, man. And you are great. You guys need to go follow Coach Boyko, and he's a father, he is a husband, he's a coach, he is a mighty man of God, and I would say a friend now.
Yes,
a friend
absolutely.
now. And man, we hope to see you soon. Get your love fix. Stay tuned for more. Peace. Wow, wasn't that a great conversation? Listen, let us know a little bit of how that encouraged you, how that challenged you, and we just thank you so much for listening in. While you're at it, give a special thanks to Chris Boyko and go follow him over at Coach C Boyko, Coach C Boyko, and please continue to follow us, share with your friends at TR Leads on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You know what it is. Get your love fix, man.